Hey everybody! In today's video, I am going to show you the second half of this card, just some simple no-line coloring of this Bad Influence Little Pig from this adorable set. Now the background I created with this awesome brick stencil, and I will come back to this video and add a link to the video where I create that background. So you'll be able to see that very soon. Now to start with, I'm inking up the pig in this awesome no-line coloring ink. I thought that because there was such a crispness to the background that I thought I would make the pig just a little bit softer with no-line coloring. And he's kind of sassy and has a little bit of an attitude. And so the sentiments that I'm going to use indicate that he might be a bit of a bad influence. So to start with, I usually try to define the face details that I know are going to be black with a Copic multi-liner. So I've done that with the eyes and with his nose. Then I'm just going to do very simple coloring. You don't have to be a coloring expert to do no-line coloring. There are a couple really easy things you can do. The first is to start with your darkest color and just define some areas where you really want a shadow. So I'm just going to outline the places that are sort of receding into the background on this little pig and defining like his rounder shape. So he's a little bit darker at the edges than he is in the center. And I'm just doing this with the darkest of the three markers. At the end, I'm going to come in and make his little hooves black, so I'm not going to worry about them at this point. Then I just move to the medium color and just stretch those shadows out a tiny bit. I tried to choose sort of corally-ish pinks, but still pink, just to give that super cute piggy feel. So here where you can tell his little belly is set back a little bit from his legs that are sort of more in the foreground, I'm adding just a little bit of shadow. And you can see that when you progress to the medium color, that dark color doesn't look as harsh and it will all blend together when I put the lightest color and give you that soft, no-line coloring look that is so much fun, but without very much work. Honestly, I like the darker areas to be really well defined, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time blending these. I want them to sort of stand out. So now you can see all the areas that are supposed to be very light and are going to make up the sort of three-dimensional protruding areas of this little pig. So I will just color the rest of him in with this. And if you're coloring and you find that the edges of your work get a little bit rough because there's so much ink down on the page after you've used three markers, then just know that you can take your lightest marker, which you'll see me do, and sort of clean up those little edges where maybe some of the ink has escaped past your initial line. That's really nothing to worry about. You can clean it up easily with a marker, and it's kind of a natural part of the coloring process because the idea of coloring with alcohol markers is really to saturate your cardstock so that the ink sort of flows very smoothly and starts to blend with the other colors on the page. So don't worry if a little bit seeps out and you need to fix it. It's really no big deal. So you can see that covering the entire little piggy with the lightest color just really softens all of those darker shadows and makes it sort of harmonious and well blended, even though I'm really not spending a lot of time. I'm not someone who spends hours and hours on alcohol marker coloring, so I wanted to make that a little bit easier for you. So now I'm taking a white gel pen and I'm just going to add a little highlight to his eyes. I think this adds so much character. And The little jelly roll pen lets you do it in a very fine way because his eyes are really pretty small. So now I'll go back with the Copic multi-liner and fill in his little hooves. They have these little divots out of them that are really cute. You want to follow that pretty closely because I will be die cutting this. And so I want to make sure that I am true to the original shape so that it cuts in a nice way. So there he is with his little feet. So adorable. He could not be a cuter little pig. He is some pig, if I had to describe him in terms of Charlotte's Web. Now I noticed a little bit of white space, so I'm going to go back and fix that wherever I can see that on the hooves. And I'm also going to add freckles. I know pigs don't have freckles, and I know freckles aren't white, but I can do what I want. I'm a card maker, and I think it's cute. So I gave him some little white freckles. So now I will, just to make use of my card front in sort of an efficient way, I'm going to stamp the sentiments on the piece that I will be die cutting. I love this tape. This tape is perfect for die cutting. So I'll use a piece of tape to secure the dies before I set it up in my MISTI to cut the sentiments. So I will take that little stamp off. Put this little guy in there. The dies don't add enough bulk that they're going to get in your way, so this works great for me. I do this all the time, stamping with dies that are already around images in my MISTI. Now, at first, I really thought I wanted 3 sentiments because they're also hilarious and snarky. But after putting them on my cardstock, I realized it was a little bit too busy and it sort of overwhelmed the little pig image. So I actually only ended up going with 2. But you'll see what they are, and they're hilarious. If any of you, you have that friend, right? One of you is the bad influence. Don't pretend like you don't have that friend. You know you do. So it says, we've been friends for so long, I can't remember which one of us is the bad influence. And then the set has one that says, I'm pretty sure it's you, or I'm pretty sure it's me, and you can pick either one. But I felt like I could just leave it with bad influence, because it was getting a little bit too crowded on my card. So here's what he looks like die cut. And if you think I'm crazy for die cutting my images after I've already colored them and like how risky that can be, you're right. That's a little crazy. But that tape really makes it easy. And I don't have to worry about my die shifting and ruining all my work. So I don't worry about that too much. So here is the fun complementary color background for my adorable little pink piggy. And here is the finished card. Looks like they're out for a night of spraying graffiti on the town. Adorable. Hope you're having a good week. Thanks so much for watching.